magnitude to today's practice was going to be what was it like? Can you describe it for us and what you got out of it?
I think it was the best practice of camp. You know, it's for us older guys. It was like a preseason game. Conditioning wise, I wish we would have done a couple more of those. It was basically like a game. You know, we had a drive and then either a kick at the end and then the twos went and then back to the ones and did like a 40-minute running clock like that. So it was a good practice. A lot of different situations came up. We had a couple 2-minute drills. We had some red zone. It was good practice.
Do you have the full stat sheet for us?
I don't. But Bobby caught a touchdown and Kabi caught a touchdown in 2 minutes from you.
You said defense, or you guys beat the defense in the first day of practice. So who won?
Oh, we did. Yeah, the offense. Jordan threw a couple touchdowns. We scored a couple on the twos too. Bobby caught a touchdown on the twos, and we had another one. Can't remember who caught it.
Have you ever had a practice like that before in your career?
Not here, I don't think. So that was good. I really liked that Matt brought that up. It felt, we warmed up like a game, and then kind of got right into it. It wasn't. There's some live special teams reps. I mean, live to a T. Covering, full speed cover. But yeah, it was good idea, good practice.
And what do you think the offensive line is going to look like when you line up in Minnesota?
I'm not sure yet. If 69 and 74 go, then the only question will be right guard. If not, it'll be the 5 you've seen starting the game in the preseason.
Do you think a practice like today's practice makes a difference come week one? I know it's different than you've had in the past in light of what happened last year.
I think anytime there can be a narrative tied to something that is inflammatory, then usually that's what sticks. And I still think that the way that we do preseason with the ones is the right way to do it. Maybe a couple more practices like today, scattered throughout camp, will be great. This is, in my opinion, better than when you bring another team in and practice, because we get more conditioning this way. It's good work as long as there are no fights against those teams, but this is better work.
Do you have a chance to talk to Toure about making the team?
No.
And what is your comfort level of the receiving group going into the season?
About what it was a few weeks ago. I think today there's evidence of immaturity at times when you're in these live situations where we're moving the football and there's rapid fire plays and the play clock is on and there's live reactions and adjustments in real time, and because of that, we're going to have to be patient with 87 and 9. But I tell you what, ever since the Saints practice, the first one, Sammy has been a different player, and he's been super reliable, and every practice made a bunch of plays. Today he had a bunch of plays again. I thought Kabi in the last 8 days or so has practiced really, really well, and he had another good practice today, and he caught a touchdown to end a 2-minute drive for us on a deep corner route. So I'm really happy with those two guys, especially. Bobby being out there is a difference maker. He just instinctually has a different feel than those other guys. And I would love to see Big Dog get some more reps as well, because he's just such an important part of our offense. But the other guys that really had a nice practice were our backs. AJ had one period with, I think, 4 catches in the period on one drive, and 2 of them were not very good throws. So just again, he's a very steady guy, and I like what I saw all camp from him in 33 and the older receivers today.
You told us more than once that you liked what you saw in camp from Winfrey. Did you have any issue with him not being kept on the 53, and was that handled differently than it might have been in the past?
Well, I think there's always conversations between Brian and I, and it's definitely not the same as the situation from a couple years ago when I felt like that player was our 3rd best receiver on the team based on his performance in training camp. I thought Juwan had a nice training camp. We know at times it's not a meritocracy. There's extra opportunity for drafted players. That's the way we've done it in Green Bay for a long time. And I'm not knocking it because I wasn't very good my first year either. But, it's those guys get a little bit more opportunities usually. And if you're an older player, you got to really cement your role on the team. As a 5th, 6th, 7th receiver, you got to be showing up on special teams and be a core guy there. And I feel for Juwan because he's such a great kid. He's been here on our row for a long time. Hope we can get it back on the P squad. He's one of those guys where, you have 3 opportunities, I believe, to bring a guy up and down on the P squad now with the new rules. And if he was, on the P squad for us, there's a good chance he'd be activated at the 48 in the first game. And that's just the way it goes for whatever reason. So, again, yes, there's some tough ones. I thought Caleb had a great camp as well and, deserved to be on the 53. But lucky to get him back on the P squad because I think he has a bright future in this league. You can't teach that kind of size, but take the 6'9", 340 out of the way. The way that he worked from spring to fall camp and then throughout fall camp, he has what it takes to be a player in this league. I told him that a couple weeks ago. I really like the person. I think he's a really good guy and excited to get him back on the P squad. There's other guys that we brought back as well that I think have bright futures, and Goodson had a great training camp. We just got to get a little better on teams and mentally, get there. But there's a lot of guys that are getting the opportunities. We know it. You guys know it every year. There's 53 on the active. There's 16 on the P squad. That 16 is never the same 16 day one as is to week 18 at the end of the season. So those guys will be elevated. Some guys won't be here. So, the season really begins for everybody next week, and the roster you see right now will not be the same roster in week 18.
When do you have a feeling about how good the team is? I guess the 30, we're 11 days out, whatever it is. What are your super early thoughts?
I think our defense is playing well. They're going to be an important part of our success, especially if you look at the beginning of the season and playing a tough team on the road in the division to open the season. Our rivals at home, Sunday Night Football in a big game, going to Tampa Bay against that great squad, and then back at home against a really good New England squad. I think the first 4 weeks will be interesting to see how it all shapes out. Obviously, we have a couple really important players who we'd love to have back, who are off the pup now. Getting them back makes us an even better football team, but we kind of got to get through this first stretch healthy and winning the games that we need to win.
Hey, Brian talked to us about his conversations with you are pretty constant when you're here in mini camp, all throughout training camp. How much do those conversations intensify towards cut down day, or is it kind of the same as it is? And how much did you talk to him this week?
Well, a couple years ago I said I wanted to have a continuous conversation. I wanted it to be not, hey, we're going to talk on this day and then we're going to talk in 3 weeks. And I think that's the evolution of our friendship and our working relationship is it has been a constant line of communication throughout training camp. And there's been a couple, sit-downs where we talked a little more in depth. But, I respect him and his vision for the football team. And the beauty in it is that it's a hierarchy, as it should be. I can give my opinion about certain players and the chemistry factor and character. But at the end of the day, he's going to make the final decision. And I respect that. And I respect the guys he put on the team. I think there's a lot of potential. I think obviously there's some guys at the bottom of the roster who need to not coast this year and look at this as a redshirt year. And there's guys on the P squad who are active NFL football players who can and maybe should be on the 53 and should stay ready when their opportunity comes. But I have a lot of respect for Brian and the job that he does and respect for keeping me in the conversation.
Over your time here, how much different is the special teams emphasis on the roster that you saw this year compared to other years in the past?
Yeah, there wasn't a lot of emphasis for a long time. We just played a lot of young players on there. I feel like we have a couple guys who are teamers. Guys, that's how they make their money. And a couple other guys who need to embrace that role, especially young players who can do it and have done it in the preseason, but need to really embrace that might be their main impact on the season, especially early on, is on teams. So we have some good leadership on there. We got an older punter and older kicker that I feel really confident in their consistency. But we need some young guys to step up and play well. We need the veteran guys to hold it down.
today we had Morgan's retirement press with the auditorium. Just wondering if you had any favorite memories of just your time with him, or just kind of things that you shared during your playing time together.
Well, he's a special guy. He was always a leader in the locker room. Tough guy, great trash talker. To our guys and to the other guys, we had some battles for sure over the years. But as much as anything I can say about Mo, it's his consistency. The guy was really a very consistent football player, played at a high level for us, led the back end, was a guy that spoke up in the locker room all the time whenever the opportunity was right. And, those guys who were gritty, tough, hard-nosed football players, can't have enough of those guys. So I'm really happy for him. He gets to retire a Packer, eventually go into Packers Hall of Fame. But he's a special teammate, and I love my time playing with Morgan Burnett.
Trash talking for Morgan? Really?
Yeah.
I wouldn't have thought that. Really? You have a favorite trash talking memory from practice of your guys too?
Well, he's from the Atlanta, area, and his brand of trash talk is pretty impressive. That's all I'm going to say about that. But it wasn't all the time, which made it even that more effective. He picked his spots, and when he did, it's pretty good.
I know they've still got to play games, and this defense, you don't want to crown anyone too soon, but when they come together in the spring, it's kind of in theory, right? They look pretty good on paper.
Yeah.
I'm curious for you, is there a point in this camp when maybe your own wow moment, like, okay, it's not just on paper? Like, when was that point when you realized that they're really, really good?
Pretty quick for sure. Like day 2, we got after them day 1, day 2, they got after us. The beauty is the depth that we have at each level. It's not like some great defenses have an incredible D-line, kind of hold on to the back end, or a great front seven and kind of make up for the back end, or a great back end that's got to make up for a lack of a pass rush. But if you look at our interior D-line, that's a really impressive group. I think the way Dean has progressed as a big-time player in this league, obviously Kenny is, understated, but, a top 2 or 3 guy at his position. And then the depth they have behind him with Big Slayton and, the rookie Wyatt. And then off the edge, the consistency we get from Preston, and then Rashawn, who's really made himself a game changer. In the 2-minute drive today, our protection was slide to his side, just because he's such a great game wrecker. And that's Preston is a fantastic player on one side, but we got to slow down 52. And defense and offenses are going to have a plan for him. But the pocket push that we can get from those interior guys is really great. Then you got 2 6'4" plus linebackers inside who are both rangy and smart and intelligent. And 59, who's a hell of a player and trash talker. And the back end, man, has got a lot of confidence. It's, usually in even if it's a great defense, you can always find one guy to pick on, but I don't feel like we have that in this defense. You got one of the top corners in the game in Rasul, who's having a hard time getting minutes in base. That tells you how good they are on the back end. Obviously, Ja's been a lockdown guy all camp, and 21 keeps getting better. And if he learns how to catch the ball, he's going to be a perennial Pro Bowl for us. But I love the defense and the way they're playing, and we just got to be consistent on teams and break even. And offensively, I feel like we've shown a lot of growth throughout camp, and today was a really good day for the offense.
You've got 3 rookies and Amari, who hasn't done a whole lot yet. Do you have enough proven firepower, you think, to start the season? Do you feel good about the veteran guys? Do you have to lean in those guys week 1, week 2? Those young guys are really ready to help you out.
Yeah, that, and then we got to play our best 11. So if that's 12, if that's 21 with the 2 backs, if that's 21 with DeGuara in there, it's going to be our best 11. So we can't wait around. Once the season starts, we'll work these guys in spots where they feel most comfortable. But the way that Sammy plays, he deserves to be in the first group in. The way Comby's played in camp deserves to be in the first group in. The way Allen's played, when he's healthy, deserves to be in the first group. So those are guys I'm sure we're going to go with. We'll work in 87 and 9 to start and go from there.
What did it mean to have Leroy Butler address the team, Hall of Fame, earlier today?
One of the best speeches that I've heard in the last decade. He just talked from the heart, and it was a message that I think we could all relate to. So I really appreciated Coach giving him the opportunity, and I've always enjoyed listening to him talk and being around him the few times I've gotten the chance to be around him. But it was a message that we can all relate to. Morgan actually talked after practice as well, and the messages are similar in it goes by fast, this game. And the most important thing is the perspective to stay in the moment, to cherish the opportunities, to not let a day go by without working on your craft and getting better, and to find time to connect with your teammates. Because as he said, as I've said many times, the best teams are the most connected teams. So love what Leroy said, love what Morgan said today, and that's the beauty in this organization is you can bring guys back in the fold like that, and they want to, like Mo wants to retire a Packer. It's important to him to be here. Leroy wants to be here to be a part of what we're doing. You know, I think about our run in 2010. Willie Davis was always around, wants to be a part of it, and the organization wants them to be a part of it too. And there's no place like this place.
Has it gone by fast for you entering year number 18?
Hell yeah. I used to have short hair and no grays.
Not trying to TMZ this, but Greg Jennings, obviously Hall of Fame ceremony tomorrow. Any thoughts on that, just for future stories for you?
Greg was a great player for us, and a lot of great memories. Got 2 touchdowns in the Super Bowl. One, I don't know how the hell he caught the one after getting rocked. But the other one went back to a conversation that he had on the sidelines about the corner routes being open. And then he also had one of my best throws of my life down the middle on 3rd and 10 that set up the last drive for us, getting a field goal, take some time off the clock. So a lot of great memories over the years with Greg. Fantastic player. Obviously, I think we all wish he would have stayed in Green Bay instead of moved on to the other team. But it's always good bringing guys back into the fold and putting them in our Hall of Fame.